focused on personalities, name-calling, labeling. Listen to what William Ruto and Raila Odinga said over the weekend.
Lakini kwa heshima kubwa, nataka nimuulize rafiki yangu rais, tafadhali raisi wetu, iyo project ya kitendawili haiwezekani. Project ya kitendawili, no. We are telling our good friend, the President of Kenya, please spare us the kitendawili experiment.
Lakini ndugu yangu Uhuru, ukishughulika na mambo ya project ya Raila, itakuharibia jina. Itaharibu legacy yako. Umepita kura kama rais mara pili, utatoka kama umeanguka na project.
Mimi nilisema mimi sitaki kuja na Uhuru namna hii. Mimi sio project ya mtu. Raila Odinga cannot be a project. Raila Odinga is a Raila Odinga. Na mimi nilisema Raila hawezi kupanda milima. Nimepanda. Simepanda. Nitafika mpaka kule kilele kule Lenana peak, nitafika huko.
All right, of course, that was happening over the weekend. And DJ Mweke, what do you make of this tag project? I mean, it's coming back again, and to what end, from UDA perspective?
Yeah, Sam, I wish you played the clip, because you're talking about name calling. I wish you played the clip of Raila Odinga calling Musalia Mudavadi, calling Moses Wetangula,
no,
and calling
we'll get to
DP
that. Don't worry. Don't worry.
So that we can be objective. You also call the other side for calling names.
This is
my good senator here is saying that they don't name
This is
call.
a discussion that is progressive.
I've seen him calling people thieves with no evidence.
We'll play that clip. Just hold on.
Okay.
You respond to the question I posed to you.
Yes. No, I just like to be objective. So that's why I saw one side of the story and not the other.
Okay,
I thought I'd
do
bring
you
it
have
out.
an answer about
Yes,
why this tagging of a project and the specifics?
Yes, yes, I do. I think the tagging of the project is because the president has taken sides. Some in most forward-thinking democracies, outgoing or retiring presidents don't take sides on their successors. For three reasons. First reason, it could be very, very embarrassing for that outgoing president if the person they take sides with does not win the election. Second, it divides the civil service right in the middle. And we are seeing that in our civil service today, even up till the cabinet level, where sides have been taken, where one side of government is following the president's choice, and the other side is saying, listen, we are independent Kenyans, and under Article 38 of our Constitution, we have the right to choose our political, to make political choices on where we want to go. Nobody should choose for us. We've seen the Interior Cabinet Secretary tell the chiefs, you must take government position on this election, which should never happen. Yeah? And the third reason is it divides our people, right? The president is supposed to be a symbol of national unity. For him to openly, and we are all his children, for him to openly take one side and put government resources, government machinery, and mandate even government workers to go on one side is what is dangerous. And that is what is causing Raila Odinga to be called a project. We have experience in this. In 2002, retiring President Moi had a project, Uhuru Kenyatta. You saw what it did. It embarrassed him so much that when he went for the inauguration, Kenyans even threw mud at his motorcade. They threw mud at the president's motorcade because they felt so polarized that he could decide to take Kenya through the side of a project. I think that is what a majority of Kenyans are protesting against. And that is what the deputy president is mentioning, he's not disrespecting his boss. He's on record thoroughly many times saying how him and his boss have a mutual respect for each other. But all he's saying is, listen, Mr. President, you are a symbol of national unity. Don't take a side in a political contest. It is bad for this country. Then we saw another example. Let me just finish my train of thought. We saw another example of retired President Kibaki. Retired President Kibaki didn't take sides. He let the people go out and decide. He retired gracefully. And even when it came to the inauguration in 2013 of the president and the deputy president, everything was peaceful. Everybody was happy, and he was able to retire honorably because he didn't take political sides. So I think it's very, it's not advisable for a retiring or outgoing president to take sides in a political, in his succession.
And Fred, what do you make of this conversation? Because yes, the president is on record saying that it's not about age. The leadership is in the mind. There's some publications that have reported that the president said he is going to make it clear to Kenyans why he fell out with the deputy president. Until that happens, we don't know the specifics. But when such kind of a conversation begins, to what end?
We must not forget that President Uhuru Kenyatta is a Kenyan like any other Kenyan. And the rights that DG Mweke is talking about in the Provisional Article 38 also apply to the president as a citizen. And he has got those rights to choose a political side that he'd want to support. In any case, President Kenyatta has not come out to explicitly say that he is supporting so-and-so. But the president was elected on a joint ticket together with William Ruto. And the successes of President Kenyatta are the successes of William Ruto. Their challenges, they share. Today, we are seeing a situation where, because the president has decided that for him, he wants unity and development, his deputy has decided for him, he wants power. And that's why you see this conflict. And some, remember, I want you to reverse the roles today. If today it is William Ruto that was seen with the president all the time, and the media would be speculating that maybe he would want to endorse William Ruto, would the UDA team be talking about the same thing? In developed democracies like the United States, and Senator Ledama will tell you that, we saw Barack Obama, who was exiting, openly endorsed his deputy because they worked together. And he knew that the person that would actually further that development agenda was his deputy, because he's a guy that he trusted in, he believed in, and they had worked together to secure the lives of Americans. That happened. Today, the President of the Republic of Kenya told Kenyans that in his first term, there were challenges. He has worked better and best in his second term. Why? Because there was tranquility and peace. And therefore, he believes that anyone who came on board in his second term to help him secure the development agenda. We are now seeing infrastructure development, we are seeing peace, we are seeing SMEs, even though there are challenges, but there is hope, even though the economy is doing badly, but there is hope. What they should be telling us, the people of UDA, is selling hope and believing that this thing is possible, not fighting the government that you drink its water, you sleep in its house, you drive its car, and you fuel from. That is the most high point of disrespecting the president. Number two, we believe as OCA, and that's why we see our politics not confrontational, because we understand that in politics, you have a right in Article 38 to choose. And in that choosing, you choose your friends. When you choose your friends, you choose friends that you are ideologically identifiable. Our ideology that I've enumerated earlier tells us that we have partners. And let me tell you, no one should ignore President Kenyatta and even Raila Odinga in this election, and Kalonzo Musyoka. Okay. No one should. Because these are gentlemen who understand where this country is going. And they have got a team behind them. They have a team behind them. This team also believes that come the election day, The people of Kenya must vote and go home and be happy. They should not vote and go home and start packing, as we have seen before. That is why this succession politics is very important to Oka, Gideon Moi, Kalonzo, Martha, Raila, Uhuru, and even Ruto. But unfortunately, we have seen a situation where, because today the president is exiting, is considered lame duck. I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Let's listen to what Raila Odinga said about...
Can I just respond to that, please?
Yes, you will.
I'd also like to do a fact check.
Yes.
If you don't mind. Because then I'll forget it, please.
No, you won't. Just note it down.
Oh,
this is just to further this conversation, because Raila Odinga spoke over the weekend about his former allies, that is Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi, but also Deputy President William Ruto. Listen.
Sasa hawa fisi zetu hapa tunawajua, wako wote katika kona moja. So katika kona moja, sisi Wakenya tuko kwa kona zote, wao wako kona zao moja tu. Hawa tumewaona hawa, moja nilikuwa waziri, nikaweka waziri wa kilimo, tunaka waziri wa kilimo alipoingia huko, kwanza ameleta mahindi, amerarua zote, amenunua mbolea, amenyakua zote, bei ya mbolea kapanda mpaka huko juu. Unajua huyo, yeye mwenyewe ni mfanyabiashara ya mbolea na yeye mwenyewe ni waziri. Na kampuni ya PricewaterhouseCoopers ikaonyesha ya kwamba jamaa alifanya makosa hapa. Nikamfuta kazi. Simfuta ya kazi. Kibaki akamwokoa. Lakini kulikuwa na thibitisho ya kutosha. Mwingine ameuza ile nyumba ya ubalozi huko Japani. Si unajua hawa? Unajua hawa wote? Hali wote ambao wanaweza kuongoza nchi yetu. Hali wote ambao wanaweza kuleta mabadiliko. Mimi nawajua hawa fisi. Najua siri yao.
All right, that's Raila Odinga there. And Senator Leda Morikin, as you respond to the tag that Raila Odinga is a state project first, do you agree? And what is the significance of what the president has been saying, but also we are seeing repeatedly state officers, whether they are cabinet secretaries, Eugene Wamalwa, you've seen Peter Munya, you've seen James Macharia, going into those rallies. What does that mean? Then secondly, did Raila Odinga just realize that actually Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi are corrupt now?
Let me try to put this into perspective. First of all, Raila Odinga is not and can never be a project. In this country, we know people who can become projects, and we know people who stand with facts, people who have stood with Kenyans. Raila Odinga has been tear-gassed. You know, he has been terrorized, brutalized. He has been sent to jail because of fighting for freedom and liberation of this country. Those are the kind of things that Raila believes in, that this country deserves a better way into the future. When I was growing up, the reason why I admired Raila Odinga so much is because of the way he was, because of his agility and dedication to service. You know, and Kenyans will never get another Raila Odinga in their lifetime. Because what Raila Odinga has been able to do for Kenya, no any other Kenyans can be able to do. Secondly, I once traveled, actually met with the Interior PS at Wilson Airport when I was going to Narok. And he said to me, thank you. And please, when you meet Raila Odinga, tell him thank you because of the handshake. He told me during the protest in 2018, the country, the Interior Ministry was spending over 10 million shillings a day just for food alone to pay the police so that they can be able to maintain peace. What the handshake meant is that there was peace and prosperity. And this is what I want to plead and remind the people of Mount Kenya, that the handshake, when Raila Amolo Odinga shook his hand with His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, it brought in peace, it brought in sanity, and people were able to develop, people were able to get back into their businesses without any problem. This is what William Ruto should have seen and continued fighting. I remember when we were...
Senator, one might ask you, then who was the cause of that breach of peace?
The cause of that breach of peace was a disagreement, a political disagreement. And you have a choice. You either continue fighting your battle all the way, you say it's either my way or the highway, or you put the country first. What these two gentlemen did, the president and His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, they decided to put the country first. I remember at Bomas of Kenya, the president was very categorical, and he said, in a race, in fact, in a relay, people pass the mantle forward. But what happens if you're trying to pass the mantle forward and someone starts running backwards? It creates problem. Whatever happened between the tension between William Ruto and His Excellency the President, really, and also Raila Amolo Odinga, is something that the President attempted to explain, that we should have continued moving forward, all of us. But in this country, we as politicians, everybody wants to fight for their own space. I believe William Ruto saw that with Raila Amolo Odinga coming in and signing a peace agreement with the President, he is now being displaced. I think that's where the rain started beating us. And I think moving forward, we have to be very, very factual. I'll now respond to your second question about the issues that His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga spoke about in Murang'a. I was seated right there. And I think I want to put them into context. There's no doubt that we had a problem in the Ministry of Agriculture. It's factual. There's no doubt that the DP was let go, was asked to leave because of the problems which are there, so that investigation can be carried out. It's a problem. Number two, we know very well that Musalia Mudavadi had a huge crisis when it comes to the issue of buying a cemetery when he was Minister for, I think, local government. The cemetery land was being sold for 30 million, but the price which was paid for the cemetery land was 284 million Kenya shillings. So that's a factual. There's no doubt that there was a crisis in Japan when my colleague, Moses Wetangula, was foreign minister. And those are all facts. And you know, the problem is that facts are very stubborn. And that investigation is always ongoing on. Let me finalize by saying this. And I love, because of all those issues, the framers of our Constitution came up with one of my favorite articles in the Constitution, which is Article 226, Section 5 of the Constitution, which is very clear that if a holder of a public office, where, you know, a political office, misappropriate funds, whether he or is out of office, that person will be liable for an account and must be called to account for that money. But has any of them been found guilty and sentenced? It's never too late. And I think, you see, they normally say that the law is an ass. It will take forever, but it will finally cut up on them. And maybe it is a time for reckoning. You've seen what is happening, where recently the judiciary, you know, sentenced certain individual. I think it was in one of the government ministries. I can't remember the name. It was last week. And this is what is going to happen. You know, those facts will remain there. And it should be a very, very big warning to every public officer who has got the fiduciary responsibility or the fiduciary duty, you know, to ensure that, you know, public funds are utilized properly. To note that it doesn't matter whether we are changing political, we are going into a new election cycle, you are still responsible because you are the one who has caused the mess. So what His Excellency Raila Amolo said is that it is fact. These guys have come together. But the truth of the matter is this. This one caused this problem, this one caused this problem, and this one caused this problem. Yet none of them has been convicted, because in the case of the Tokyo Embassy, I think the PS Monkey Theatre was taken to court and at some point acquitted. But why would this recur at a political season? Yet Raila Odinga has worked with Moses Wetangula in 2 elections, 2013 and 2017, you know, and with Musalia Mudavadi in 2017. You know, we are politicians, and we have 3 arms of government. We have the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. Raila Odinga has been focusing a lot in trying to become the executive. Maybe if he was the president of Kenya, those things would have happened. Now, we know, and I have a lot of confidence in the Chief Justice, Martha Koome, that soon, all these cases which have been pending for, you know, for ages, will be able to come to an end. And I hope that one day, those people who have cost this country so much money, will be called to account for them. You know, we have convicts.
Right.
You know, already. Some of us know that there are some people who are convict and they're politicians. You know, so really, the issue is this. You cannot point the finger at Raila and say, you are saying something and this guy has not been taken to court. I think what we should be saying is that our judiciary, please, now with a toothpick comb, make sure that you weed all these people out.
I hear
IEBC
you.
talks about certain people being barred from running. I think it is now, it behooves us in the legislative arm of government to be able to be futuristic, and we come up with legislation that we ensure that whether it affects me, Senator Ledamo Olekina, or my good friend here, if he decides to run again for office, you know, if we're the ones passing it, we should pass it because we want this country.
Senator
we want to leave this country a better place than we found it.
I hear you, and that's interesting because you know too well that the judiciary or the courts do not move by themselves. They have to be moved by the prosecution side. But
true.
Honorable Mweke, I mean, you were just getting impatient. I know you've had both of your clips that you wanted. But, I mean, it's that season of politics. So how do we help Kenyans to make a decision based on what they're looking for in this election, and not necessarily these personality differences that are most probably geared by interests in politics and clinching the seats?
I think that's a great question, Sam, you've asked. First of all, let me just do a fact check for my friend Fred. President Obama endorsed his deputy when he was no longer president. The president then was Donald Trump. So that was not a very correct statement. Number two, about Uhuru being an ordinary citizen. We know the courts, as they are throwing out this BBI nonsense, they ruled that President Uhuru Kenyatta is the president of the Republic of Kenya, and therefore he cannot be treated like an ordinary citizen. That was one of the major things that kicked out the BBI. So we can't sit here and say that the president can openly just take a political side while he's sitting, divide the civil service, divide the country, and risk embarrassment to himself because he's an ordinary citizen. I don't think that's correct. And we have a court ruling on the same. This election...
Which is on constitutional review, but do you think anything bars him from taking an active role in the election?
Nothing does. But you see, there's a moral issue, Sam. You can't say that you are a symbol of national unity and you take one side when you are sitting president. It dilutes that mandate. Politics is a science, and there's also the art. There's the emotional intelligence. And if you're in that kind of a position, you should be above reproach. And you should try to be as much as objective as possible, because you're carrying 47 million Kenyans with your actions. And you don't want to create any sort of civil strife. You don't want to divide the government. You can see in some places even government services are not being dispensed properly because everybody is in limbo saying, listen, this person belongs to the side that the president does not support.
Do you have an example?
Yeah, yes, we have an example. You've seen UDA even in the rallies that they had in Kiambu, even in the rallies that they had in Kirinyaga, say that the DCI is being sent after people.
No, I'm talking about the service delivery is not dispensed because
yes, that's what I'm talking about. Security is a service, so KRA is a service. So why are they going after people who are against the president's wishes? Why are they going after the people who are against or who are with the deputy president? Yeah, those organizations are there to provide a service. I mean, we saw the police the other day say that they're no longer going to come and create order in political rallies. It's utumishi kwa wote, not utumishi to one side or the other side. And these are the divides that we are saying we should not find ourselves in. To your question, ideology. You know, in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, it says that we are God's handiwork. We were brought on earth for a purpose that God decided for us even before we were born. Yeah? And I respect Senator Ledama here by telling us about Raila's track record for what he has done for this country. And it's absolutely true. Raila fought for democracy that we got. He fought for multipartyism that we got. Raila Odinga fought with blood and years for a new constitution that we got. Maybe that's what God brought him to earth to do. And he has finished that work. He should retire honorably, like Nelson Mandela did. Now, we are not in a constitutional crisis. We are not in an undemocratic crisis. We don't have a single party. That is the past. Now, let us look at the future, where we are saying we are in an economic crisis. And the ideology for an economic crisis, bringing people out of the economic crisis by taking care of this cost of living, high cost of living that you saw today, is the model that UDA and Deputy President William Ruto espouses. Bottom-up economics. Right now we are doing trickle-down. You're investing in big infrastructure projects. The GDP is being, most of the people who are now contributing to the GDP is government and not private sector, yet private sector is the one that creates jobs. Yeah, so there's so much unevenness in our economy that we need to change our model. Changing our model, saying now, can we invest in that person who's here at the bottom? If you give them an affordable loan, Sam, I don't know if you know, there's 14 million people on CRB today in this country. 14 million, yeah? Guys are going to Shylocks at 10% a day, which is 3,600% interest. If you Fuliza, you're Fulizing at almost 2, because it's, I think, 6%, almost 2,000% a day, yeah? While the people at the top are getting loans at 12%. So what we are saying is, listen, why can't we consider these guys at the bottom? Because there's no business that can ever thrive. Okay. And if businesses don't thrive, we can't create jobs. I'm talking about the ideology you asked me about, yeah? So we need to give those small people, the ordinary Kenyans who are borrowing at 2,000 or 3,600%, access to affordable capital, so that if they're doing 10 bales of mitumba, they can now do 100 bales of mitumba. They can expand their business. They can employ people. That is what bottom-up is about. So let's move from trickle-down to bottom-up as an ideology.
And Honorable Mweke,
and get away from this perception.
One day we'll